Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Tony Talks, Get Up and Grow, where I have conversations with inspirational leaders, influencers, and change makers, people that aren't just doing well in life, but are also doing good in the world. And by that, I mean they're sharing their knowledge, they're sharing their wisdom, they're sharing, in some cases, their resources. But they're making a difference, making an impact, and changing people's lives, helping change people's lives. Today, I have the distinct pleasure of having someone who popped on for a few minutes a couple of weeks ago, but I wanted to have him come on his own. His name, for those who know him, love him. I'll say that, and it is the one and only. Let me just bring him on stage, Don Hobbs. I was going to say Don Juan Hobbs. We'll just call you Don Hobbs, because now Don moved to Puerto Rico, so the whole Don Juan thing might actually fit right now.
It could.
So let me just tell you a little bit about Don, and then he can fill you in. Don, Don and I met a few years ago, and Don is an interesting individual. He's we had a lot of mutual friends, and that's kind of how that came together. Don was most recently, well, up until now, he was most recently a partner of Gary Keller's with his coaching program. And prior to that, he ran Hobbs and Herder, which was a huge real estate marketing and real estate training company. And prior to that, he was the president of Jim Rohn's company. Jim Rohn, the one and only Jim Rohn. So Don worked with Jim for many years as the president of his company. And prior to being the president of his company, he also worked in the sales division. And that sales division, oddly enough, guess who he worked with when he was just 18 years old? With none other than Tony Robbins himself. So Don is also a friend of Tony's, which was an interesting a revelation when we first spoke and discovered that. So that was funny how that kind of came about. So Don, welcome to Tony Talks. Good to have you here, brother. And please, and I know I left a whole bunch of blanks in there, so fill us in on a little bit who you are and where you came from, and be interesting to hear again a little bit about the whole Tony connection, which, like I said, I thought was fascinating when we were talking about it. I'm like, wait, what? So, and coming off the heels of a UPW,
exactly.
Came 4 days UPW changed. 22,500 people were the number of screens that were on, but there were so many people that had 3, 4, 5, 10 people on the screen. I'd venture to say that probably 30, 40, 50,000 lives were changed over these last 4 days. I had the pleasure of serving as a trainer again for Tony and running 3 rooms with circa 600 plus people collectively. So it was the hell of an experience. And anyway, changing lives every day, which is beautiful. That's what I'm here for. That's what you're here for. That's what we're all here for.
Absolutely. Tony, thanks for having me back, man. It's good to see you. And I'm really happy to be here on Tony Talks, and always happy to talk about Get Up and Grow, because that's what it's all about. And it's been fun being in this business. And as you said, committed to helping people. I've been doing this for a long time. I mean, Tony and I started in business together at Jim Rohn's company 43 years ago, dude. So it's been a while, man.
I'm 43. All right, I am. That's not true. I'm a little.
So, the last time I was at when Alice and I went to Date with Destiny, he came up and he said, "So how long have we known each other?" I was like, 43 years. So I was 18, he was 17 years old when we started back in those days, right? So we ran with some young bucks, and we had the guy that ultimately founded Herbalife was one of the guys that was kind of involved with us, Mark Hughes and Larry Thompson. They were all kind of around us, and there was just a group of 17, 18, 19, 20-year-old kids that were just running around doing stuff and envisioning the bigness of life in the future. And so Tony went off and started doing some firewalk stuff that was really fun, and we thought he was wacky. Of course, at the time it was like, firewalking, what the hell is that all about? And so I remember actually the way he wrote me into my first one, since you just went through UPW again this weekend. And by the way, Joseph McClendon I met many years ago. But Tony called me one day and said, "Hey, what are you doing this weekend?" And I said, "Nothing, man. I'm home. Ron and I are off the road this weekend." He said, "Good. I bought you a ticket. I want you to come to Denver and take my my firewalk thing." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I got caught." So I went to the first firewalk in Denver, Colorado, and and we had a lot of fun with that. Board breaking, we were doing fire walking, and anyway, I've been with Tony at some fun places, Fiji and all kinds of stuff. And then being around Rome was such a big adventure. So that was 8 years. 8 years of my life. I was president the last 2 of those, and then when I left, I started this little thing called Hobbs Herder, which turned out to be a monster company. We didn't know. I mean, it was just doing the best we could, and we happened to hit it right, and we were in the real estate space, and we were teaching agents how to market themselves. How do you separate yourself from the flock of realtors, which, by the way, is appropriate whether you're in insurance or any business you're in. I mean, whatever it is, how do you separate yourself and make yourself stand out from the masses of people that are in that industry? And so we kind of got famous in the real estate space, and we were putting about 50,000 people a year through programs. Now that's nothing when you got Tony doing 20,000 people in one arena, but
listen, Tony's an anomaly. He's a beast, right?
He is.
So
totally
50,000 people for anyone in any given calendar year is a mammoth a mammoth event, a mammoth thing that you've done. So that's that don't think just because, hell, going back to it now, this one was 22,500 people, and they've been getting bigger and bigger. But my first UPW had 2,300 people. Your first UPW sounds like there were 6 of you.
There was about 90 of us, actually. To be honest with you, it was about 90 of us in a little grammar school, by the way, and the firewalk was on their grass outside the little grammar school. So all that happened back in the day. That was like 1983 or something crazy like that. So pretty funny. Yeah. Crazy. So anyway, we've been doing some fun,
right? How small those events were, but that's how you start. You don't take over the world in one fell swoop, so to speak, right? You don't change it
at all
in one move. It takes time, right?
Yeah, and the thing is that what was beautiful about watching Tony, he was so committed to the growth of people. I was, we were doing it when we weren't making any money. We were doing it literally when we were, you do what you do for free. If you do what you love and do it, even if you do it for free, and be like, I already proved that, man. I did it for free for a long time. And we just, we were just so dedicated to helping business people with their lives. I mean, it was just, Roan had so much to do with the foundation for, if things are to change, it's going to happen inside us. It's going to be inside growth. Your inside job. It's Get Up and Grow, man. It's really about how do we uncover the person that we really are, that we've buried with the person that we've become through the fear and the all the holdback stuff, right?
So true. So true. It really is about discovering your inner hero, right? Discovering the hero that's inside you, and we all have it inside of us. We've just been for over the years, we've put on mask after mask, and we've put on, we've buried it, right? And many times to protect ourselves, and many times to try to sometimes the tall poppy syndrome, right? You don't want to be the tall poppy, because if you grow too tall, somebody wants to come by and knock you down. Actually, that's a tall poppy thing. It's an Australian term that they use a lot. We don't use it as much in the US,
right?
But it's in a poppy field. If you're a tall poppy, you're growing taller than the other poppies. Somebody comes around and knocks you down because they don't want to see you grow faster or bigger than anyone else. And so many times with the people that we're surrounded ourselves with, right, in business and in life, and sometimes the people closest to us. So it's important anyway, so back to tying it back to who you are and that hero inside. Many times people dim their light to make other people feel comfortable, and they forget who the heck they really are. So,
well, and even Tony, beyond that, because we know the subconscious runs so much, but the reality is that there's a part where we're still playing tapes that came from parents and brothers and sisters and uncles and aunts and environments and teachers and whatever, and they were well-meaning. They didn't try and hurt us, right? They were giving us the very best they knew. They were basing their teaching on their fears. Don't hurt yourself. Don't go too far. Don't go too much. Don't climb that high. Don't whatever. And we start to play those tapes and over again. I laugh sometimes and go, some people are so committed to those tapes and playing them over and over again that they're still looking for their 8-track deck, if anybody even knows what an 8-track is, so they can play their freaking 8-track tapes that are that old, that are still running their lives, right? And so it's really challenging. And I think the biggest thing, and what I love about the work you do and the commitment you've made, is that you and Tony and us, Allison and I, and people like us, we've just really dedicated ourselves to how do we help people see who they are, not the personality, but at the inner level, like who are we?
Yeah.
At our essence,
right.
At our essence, right? Who are we? And when we really figure out who we are, I mean, God didn't create no junk. He created us to be huge and massively successful and contributors and givers and people who make stuff, right?
I love that. God didn't make no junk. I remember reading that somewhere years ago. That's a great line. I had a conversation with someone the other day. They asked me, so, what do you do? And I said, and it's funny because we were having a bit of a slight business conversation. So, real estate and everything else. And I said, my goal is to bring people home. And he says, what does that mean? This is the first time it actually came out of my mouth this way. And I thought it sounded great. Or, it made sense. I said, it's about bringing people home. And he says, well, what does that mean? Well, bring people home to their heart.
Yeah.
Because so many people are lost, right? The people that are lost, again, as the saying goes, not everyone who's wandering is lost, right? But so many people have lost that mind, that brain-heart connection, that mind-heart connection, and they're living so far outside of their heart that it's important to help people find their way home. And home is, they say home is where the heart is. Yeah, that's where your family is. That's where your loved ones are. But home is where the heart is for you. It's about finding your way back to you. It's about finding your way back to the peace, back to your essence, to your point. Finding back and pulling back the layers and opinions of other people and all the bullshit that people have laid upon you, and labels that are put on by society, by your parents, by the voices in your head. Here's a great question. Whose voice do you hear in your head, specifically when you do something wrong or when you make a mistake?
Right.
Whose voice, right? And I'm asking the audience, just ask yourself that question. Whose voice do you hear when you do something wrong? Is it your voice saying you're stupid? Right? Because so many times we're so really good at beating the crap out of ourselves, right? And
absolutely.
That's not where this conversation is going today, but just as how the conversation started. But listen, it's all part of it.
It is. You can't separate it out, Tony. I mean, and we're in business together in our real estate business, you and us, right? And one of the things that I found in that is that, again, there's no separation, because people want to say, well, in my personal life this way, in my business life this way. It's like, it's all one. It's one human being.
You try to make it so completely separate that you get lost, and that's where you start to pull away, because you need to be who the hell you are. Don't be something else in public and something else in private, and that's something that I strive not to do. Listen, you've probably heard me say that, and I'll say it to anyone who's watching. If you ever meet me in person, this is me. There is no two people. I grew up in not in a great environment. My father was a different person to everyone else than he was to us.
Right.
And he was a good dude everywhere else. At home, not so much. So
I get it.
I strive like crazy to not be more than one person. I mean, granted, you can get a different version of me depending on how you approach me or what's going on in life. But for the most part, this is who I am. This is how I show up every day to you, to anybody, right?
Right.
So it's important in business. If you want to be successful, you want to be happy with what you do not have a different persona. Granted, we all have different personas. So let's not say that. But deep down, be who you are. Don't pretend. The whole fake it till you make it thing, has gotten old, and that shit doesn't work. I mean,
that was a different era, man. That's not today. That's
no,
honestly, it never did. But I'm saying I remember the era when that was what was taught. Today, it's like, that authenticity is really what comes through. And in business, it really is a huge part of what people are looking for. Can I trust? Do I know you? Can I trust you? Those are the big things that are going on. But I think for guys like you, where you've really brought that persona in to your business, I think that's why people love to do work with you. That's why people love to be in business with you. Who we got talking there?
Oh, we got a bunch of people. We have, Dana, her mom would always say, you're going to fall and break your neck. And of course, Dana's an amazing person. Unfortunately, she did break her neck, but that's a whole nother story. Then Marcella is just saying, it's a great, and it really is, it's a good idea to figure out who that voice is in your head, because when you can figure out who it is and you can isolate it, you can change it. You can reprogram the voices in your head to empower you, to strengthen you, to push you forward, and you can quiet those little voices. You know, one of the quotes that I post a lot is, tell the negative committee that meets in your head to sit down and shut up. You know, we don't have that committee in our head. They all meet. They have these cool parties, and before you know it, you're like, you know, you're down negative valley, and nothing looks right, and everything's gray, and you can't figure anything out.
Well, so you know what's funny about that? I was going to say too, by the way, that doesn't include the 16 voices in your head that's called Sybil, but the voices in your head, right? It's a big deal. And I've got, you know, people that we talk to all the time, and I'm saying, like, stay out of the news, like quit watching that stuff that just pours in massive negativity, and we start playing that stuff out. We start, what are we living in fear about? Stuff that isn't happening to us. It's like the world, right? And I've got a friend of mine who literally her mom watches the news 3 times a day and reads the newspaper from cover to cover, and she won't go out of her house because she's scared to death. And I'm like, I wonder who scared the crap out of her. I mean, she's living in this world of fear. So I think for all of us, we've got to take charge of what's going in and how we're what we're putting into our brains that's growing us and moving us up into the high-minded human that you were intended to be. Absolutely. Right? This spiritual being that's not just stuck in the human form. We're stuck in the human form, but we're spiritual beings, right? We're doing something bigger than that. So
absolutely.
Anyway,
you know, I started by saying this, and I'm just going to touch on that for a sec, because I started our conversation before we went live saying that I've got a low-grade headache because I'm doing the 10-day challenge that Joseph McClendon, thank you, Joseph, for the headache, which is, you know, no sugar, no coffee, no low or no carbs, you know, no red meat and everything else. So I've been off coffee for 2 days. So I've got this low-grade headache that is not fun. But it's important. And I bring that up because you said something about what are you putting in? What are you putting in your head? You know, and true health is not just what goes in here. It's not just what you stick in your mouth. It's what your eyes are seeing. It's what your ears are hearing. It's what you're feeding your mind. Who are you listening to? What are you watching? You know, my wife loves to watch Dateline. Every time I come in, I'm like, please, I don't want to watch Dateline. It's so interesting. I'm like, I know, but I don't want to hear about how many people got killed and how, and the massacre and dismemberment. I don't need to hear that, right? So what are you putting in? What are you allowing into the garden of your mind? I think this was a Jim Rohn quote.
It is.
The one that said, stand guard at the gate of your mind.
That's exactly right. Absolutely.
I quote him so much. I love Jim Rohn. I wish I had the opportunity to have learned from him directly before he passed. But that's one that's so important. So what's going in, again, to your nutrition, to be healthy, to be happy. It's what not only is going in your mouth, but in your ears and your eyes and into your mind. So just watch. Cut back on the news. Cut back on the negative stuff. Stop watching, you know, Dateline. Start watching Comedy Central. Start watching, you know, something else. You know, granted, sometimes you can watch the news just to laugh because, you know, if you can see through what's being said. But for the most part, don't watch the news so much. You know, you don't need that much.
You know, Tony, let's just tell it like it is, because the reality is, and again, I'm sure most of your listeners are not, you know, like rabid news watchers, but the reality is, I haven't watched the news I've not that I haven't seen it. I've passed through airports and whatever, I've seen it, but I haven't watched the news for probably 5 years, and I can tell you what the news is tonight. I heard there's an election, and I heard there's something like this pandemic or something. Like, what else is going to be on the news tonight? You tell me what isn't about those two things.
Well, there's still riots going on in New York.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Not riots. I'm sorry. There's protests.
No, there's protests, and there's locusts. There's locusts in Africa, and there's still killer wasps being found in Washington State. But let's go through the basic things and go, okay, after that, what else is being covered? I'd rather hug my girl or hug my dog. I'd rather do one of the two. It's just not worth.
You know, you're so right. And one of the things that was laughable and almost offensive was when they came out with those murder hornets. I'm like, slow news cycle, anyone? Come on, what the thing that scared the people the most, I got to be honest with you. I got to be honest with you. I'm just going to say it. what scared people the most is that there's European hornets that are also called cicada killers that look and are the same size as those damn murder hornets. So people are losing their mind. They're losing their mind because they thought these things, and they thought that these murder hornets were going to come murder them. No, they murder beehives. They murder other bees. So that's like calling robins worm murderers, right? The birds, the robins, they're worm murderers. Look at them out the grass. They're murdering the worms. You know, it's all that to say, stop watching.
Stop watching the news.
It's all the same. It's entertainment at this point.
So, at this point, for sure. Yeah. All right, brother. So what else you want to talk about? Let's talk about some business stuff.
Yeah. So listen. So obviously, you know, you mentioned it before that. You know, being in business. I think being in business is it's important to for anyone who's out there that is interested in getting into business. It's so important to get out and try to and try something new. Get out into business for yourself. One of the conversations I've been having with another great friend of mine who's been on here before. I don't know if you know Jason Cisneros or not, but really good dude. If you don't, you should. And at some point, well, yeah, I'll get all the cool people together. You know, he talks about, you know, one of the biggest threats to how we live in this country is the loss of the middle class, right? Because it's shrinking, and people don't understand that sometimes when the middle class shrinks, the problem isn't that oh look, it's shrinking. It's just what happens when it shrinks. The chasm between low class and upper class increases, so it's that much harder to make the leap, right? So the middle class is probably the most important part of all of it. So you have to keep a healthy middle class, and one of the ways that we do that is by small business, and small business is the backbone of this country. And I encourage people all the time. You know, one of the things that I do as well is I help turn around businesses, among other things, right? So I'm personal development, turn around businesses, and obviously, as we know, and what we're talking about now, I've been in real estate for 30 years, right? That's how I started that was my entry into entrepreneurship was at the age of 18. I'm not going to say what year it was, so you don't feel bad. Sorry, I had to. Listen, for what it's worth, I've got more gray hair than you do. Okay, so
I don't know about that.
I don't know if you know, my hair is darker, so. But real estate has been an absolutely great business, and it's something that somebody was making posts on one of the chats the other day asking, what business can I get into with no money? I said, listen, you know, real estate's a great industry.
Awesome. It's the best.
If for the most part it's $300, you can get a license, you can get certified, and then all the major companies offer some kind of training. Not all of them offer the kind of training that EXP Realty does, but everybody offers some kind of training, so you have a starting point to start somewhere, and it's something that you can do part-time to subsidize your current income. You know, when I first started real estate, I started at 18. I had a full-time job up until I was probably 23. And I say full-time job because I had to pay bills. I moved out when I was 20. So I had to pay bills and make sure that, you know, I had gas and insurance and food and pay the rent and everything else. And I bought my first house at 23. So, I had to kind of rock and roll. So I had a full-time job, but the funny thing is I had two full-time jobs because I had my full-time job working 40 hours a week. And then I had real estate doing 40 hours a week. And when that started dwarfing the income I was making at my regular job, I then went full-time into real estate, which a lot of people do. So I just encourage a lot of people to, if you're having a hard time right now, just get into real estate. You know, that's a hell of a way to subsidize. Listen, you always know at least one or two people that are buying a house at any given point. You know, family. You know, that there's always a good starting point somewhere where this is funny. Thanks, Eric. This is like watching Don Johnson being interviewed by Hugh Jackman. That's funny.
That's Eric, way funny.
Sorry, nice break in the nice pattern interrupt. That's too funny.
Good job, Eric. Good job, Eric. That's awesome.
So, but I encourage people to get into the industry because it's one of the reasons I'm in personal development is because I love people, right? So I love dealing with people, working with people, and helping people. Whether I started in real estate when I was just doing residential real estate, and I was doing leasing in residential real estate. And then I started, this is how my career went, right? I started doing more and more deals, and then I started buying and flipping homes, which is why I got into real estate in the first place. And so then I started building a couple of homes from scratch, ground up construction. Then I started buying and holding investment properties with all residential. Had a bunch of residential units and sold those and got into commercial. Then I started baptism by fire. I bought a commercial piece of real estate and saw how interesting that world was, and how tough it is to crack that. So I got into commercial real estate as well. And then I did that collectively with, it was probably 50-50 residential and commercial, and then had commercial portfolio. And, so kind of built it up that way. Then I had my own office. I had my own office for about 17 years. And then a few years ago, I merged my office into a Keller Williams, as many people did. And now for the last 2.5 years, I decided to hang up that red hat or whatever that was. And I decided to join EXP, which is the #1 fastest growing real estate company in the country, in the world right now. So it was just, and it was a great pivot because they really connect more with the agent, right? They're really the ones that are pushing you to really grow your business under their banner, so to speak. Hang your banner under their banner, where many other offices are all about their banner first.
Their company.
Or rather, EXP is about you, and then you at EXP. Everyone else is, you're who you are, but you're underneath them. So I think it's just a great opportunity, great training, great just great ways of earning revenue, not just through sales. You can do better than 100%. Let's see, what is Eric asking here? So quick question on Don. What's the best and easiest way to get into what you do with real estate? That's a great question, Eric.
That's funny. So Eric, it depends on what your goals are, but certainly if you're trying to get into real estate, Eric, we'd have to get you licensed up. And of course you can do that in any state, but if you happen to live in California or Texas, I think you have places in both, maybe other states that I don't know about. I picked the state that's the easiest because it depends on where you're going to hang out. But if you really want to do something with real estate, let me say this to Eric, but I know this is not his vocation. His vocation is changing lives like yours, Tony, like mine. What's cool though is this: real estate is $1 million a year business, and most people don't see it that way at all. They see the starvation, all that, but you know what? You see that in every business. And if you really want to be in business, Tony, you said it right on. This is a legitimate business. Get into business. If right now you're struggling, COVID has wiped out your occupation or whatever, and we keep waiting for things to come back to normal. I'm telling you, I don't think that we know what normal is. I don't know that your past job is part of normal. I mean, we don't know what's going to go on. But what I will say is that the real estate industry has become a serious business. It's always been, it was a kind of a third occupation. It was like what you did when you had nothing else to do. It was for people that wanted a second job. There was women that were at home with the kids, and then they kind of wanted to do a little real estate on the side. But I'm telling you, this business has turned into a major business. There are agents making $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, $4 million a year in commissions. And with EXP, Tony, you were talking about EXP. We've got people that are making more than that, kind of in ownership, if you will. And the company really does a great job of bringing people in and helping the agent be. What, I lose you?
No, I'm going to give you the floor.
Helping the agent really have their own business. And as you were saying, my brand gets to stand out in our company. And of course, I'm a big proponent. That's what Hobbs did for all those years that I was training realtors and putting 50,000 people a year. We were talking about, how do you brand you? How do you make you the star of that show so people know you, think of you? You are their realtor. They may not be buying or selling today, but you are their realtor. I'm not sick today, but I have a doctor. I'm not doing my taxes today. July 15th is passed, but I have my CPA picked out. Most of us have people in our lives, but a realtor, we get them when we need one. And that's not the way it should be. And if an agent really understands how to run this business, it's going to be big. Anyway, Eric, I'm not sure I answered your question, but the reality is it's get a license. Florida is the easiest state, one of the easiest states to get a license in. Wyoming is another one, and get a license and join up with us. We'd love to have you. But if you're serious about, yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. We did some good. We had a lot of people, we changed their lives. We built the biggest agents in the world of real estate, but the reason was because we showed them how to be in business for themselves. We showed them how to have a business instead of working for somebody and playing into Tony, their brand, their business, their stuff. I mean, for the most part, realtors, a lot of realtors treat it like it's a job, and it's not a job, it's a business. I'll tell you something that's interesting, and you and Swanson, I don't know who else is watching us, maybe it's the three of us, but I'll tell you that in 1900, Tony, you'll find this fascinating. In 1900, 90% of the American population was self-employed. They had their work was, they were the small business, they were the small store, they were the drugstore, they were the small business was the ruler of 1900s. By 2000, 100 years later, 10% of the population owned their own business, 90% was employed. So we've given up our control. We've given up and said, hey, I want to work for somebody else. They can tell me what to do, where to show up, my job assignments. I sure hope they give me a bonus. I sure hope they pay into my 401k or, match me. I sure hope they do stuff for us. But if you want to really take control of your business, it's going to end up being your own business. And I'll tell you right now, as COVID is decimating certain parts of our economic sectors, people are going to start being consultants in the same industry where they were jobs, 4 months ago. They were whiskey providers. Yeah, kind of, Eric, but that's not exactly what I'm talking about. Exactly.
He did post this one a little while ago that I didn't share.
Well, I think the biggest thing is right now, if you're looking for an entrepreneurial place that doesn't require that you go get bricks and mortar and start, the business and go, how do I get customers and all that? You can start in real estate and you can have a monster business. And if you get hooked up with Tony and, our posse, our crew, EXP is by far, as you said, the fastest growing real estate company in history, actually. And by far the reason for that is because agents know it's the first time anybody's ever taken a real active interest in their future instead of it being about the future of the guy or the company at top. And I'm telling you, the way that it's normally structured is, the layers of people make all the big bucks and the agent is the one pushing all the sales. And I'm telling you that right now you have a chance to really join up with a posse that's a movement. And Tony, that's the one thing I say about EXP. It's a freaking movement because we are making such big things happen, such huge changes in the industry. And the way we're doing business is so completely different. And I'll tell you one other thing, and Tony, you know this, but Swanson may not, and that is our company was built. I'm not saying I'm happy about anything that's going on. This coronavirus, this COVID, this pandemic, it's not fun for anybody. I mean, I hate being at home. We're here in Puerto Rico and we have a curfew. Like it's illegal to go out after 10 p.m. They don't serve alcohol after 7 p.m. There's a whole bunch of stuff. But all that stuff aside, we have a chance because our company was built for this. We're a cloud-based company. Amazon's not slowing down. They're not.
Right. Not at all. They're thriving. They're not
thriving, right? I mean, Zoom is not hurting. It's opening up. We're in the same boat. We are fully functioning. I just went in right like 6 minutes before we got online here. I was in our corporate offices in the cloud in an avatar form talking to our people, and they were saying, hey, we're doing stuff exactly the way we were in August of last year, in January of this year, and everything is the same for us because our company was based on a platform that allows us to do normal things. Thanks, Eric. I appreciate you, man. Yeah, we're in PR for sure. Come and visit.
Yeah, he said he loved it. So
anyway, we're having fun. But listen, what's really important for anybody who's watching, if you're in real estate, we may have a better place. If you're looking for your next occupation because yours just got wiped out, or if you really are looking for something, now's the time to maybe make a change. Talk to us. I mean, this is a serious thing, and with the training that we do and the training that I've had for years and years, the Hobbs herder stuff that Swanson was talking about, we can absolutely change the way you look at your life and look at your business. And Tony, the mindset is a big part of it.
Absolutely. Huge.
Right?
Huge.
So we can totally help you get where you want to go. So anyway,
no, it's
all
funny.
that.
Marcella, I didn't even know that you were an agent, by the way. Marcella asks, what does it take to be an outstanding agent?
Thinking big. The fact is, if you think big, then you start making plans for stuff. In fact, it's really interesting. I don't know if you've ever seen this, Tony, and I can't draw it out because we're not in that situation. But if you think about what does it take to have a small goal, 2 years from now, I want to be in this small place, right? Nobody's inspired by that, right? It's like, I'm gonna build a nice little business in real estate. So where am I gonna go? I'm gonna go here. If I could just sell another 3 homes or 5 homes or 7 homes a year. So if we're inspired to do that, what do? We're going to look for people. No, nobody's going to join our little project. We're not building anything of any substance. Nobody wants to be part of it. It's not inspiring. It's not even inspiring for me. So if we think big, we start aiming high. And when we start aiming high, what happens is we start bringing along top quality people because they're inspired by what we're doing. We start taking high quality actions. Why? Because it takes that to get there. And by the way, the funniest part is if you look and you go down the path to the small goal and you go down the path to the big goal and you draw a line across both paths, what you realize is time is not the difference maker. It's how we think. Do we think big or do we think small? Are we thinking up or are we thinking down? Because the time is the same time. There are people that are creating the same results, right? Bill Gates, Tony Robbins, the wizard of Wall Street. I mean, all these guys guys and gals make the same amount of money in the same amount of time, or they make way more money in the same amount of time that you and I are making less. And by the way, that's all here.
That's right.
So first thing is there. Second thing is actions. And then what does it take? It takes being with the right company, having the right ideas. The thing that happens, Marcella, is that most people are so busy trying to survive, they never even look at success. And when they see success in somebody else, they go, I wouldn't want to work that hard. And what I'm telling you is, in real estate, as in any other business, it's not a matter of how hard we work. It's the smarts we do. It's the things we put our focus on. And it is doing the right stuff, Tony. It's doing the right stuff. It's not doing hours. It's doing the right stuff. What's the right stuff that's going to get me there? So
the reality of it is to talk about what you were talking about before is, and I forget, it was a philosopher from way back when, and I'm trying to think of his name, but it doesn't matter. The line is, most people. It was Michelangelo. Most people don't aim high and miss; they aim low and hit. Right?
Absolutely.
That's the reality.
Absolutely.
People, if you're going to dream, you might as well dream big. Marcel just said, thank you. Think big. Yeah. Dream big. If you're going to dream anyway, why are you going to dream small? If you're going to aim at something, and by the way, people don't understand, if you want to shoot the moon, for example, let's say that you had a big gun that can shoot the moon. Just put a little pellet on the moon. In order to shoot the moon, you have to shoot way above the moon, right? Because the further the shot, the more the curvature and gravity and everything else. You've got to shoot above your target. The further away your target is, the higher you've got to shoot in order to attain it. Because if you're just going to shoot at the target, you're going to hit the ground. So most people don't aim high and miss. They aim low and hit. Anybody can take a ball and hit the ground with it. Congratulations. You threw the ball, it hit the ground.
That's called gravity. It's called gravity.
Right. Because you aim high and miss, guess what? You're still up in the stars. Right. Yeah. So it's about aiming big. It's about having bigger goals. And this isn't my quote either, but if your goals don't scare you, they're not big enough. You got to think so big that you feel uncomfortable telling small-minded people about it. Right. Your goals got to be so audacious that you're like, holy shit. You look at it like, wow. Yeah. Focus on that, because even if you miss and you come close, you're twice as far as you would have been had you thought small. Because most people, okay, I want to make an extra $10,000 this year. Congratulations, you made $10,000. Awesome, nothing wrong with that, by the way. But you normally only, it's like resetting that thermostat, that financial thermostat, right? You set it, okay, great. You set it up another 2 degrees. Then when you get to those 2 degrees, you turn off again instead of keep going, keep muscling through it, keep growing through it, right? And again. When you set that dream, you set that goal so high, you inspire other people to come with you. Like, wow, What the hell is that guy doing? What's that girl doing? Holy cow. Look at those goals. And my God, they're accelerating. They're speeding up towards it. And you attract like-minded people, right? You attract your vibe. Different.
Here's the ticket, Tony. Watch this. Everybody that's watching right now, set your goal. Set a goal. I don't care if it's a financial goal, if it's a goal for something you've been wanting to achieve, set that goal. If it's a financial goal, it's easier to measure, right? It's just easier to do the numbers. So set the goal, write it on a sheet of paper, write it next to you, put it on your telephone, text it to yourself, set the goal. Okay? So Tony, if we're coaching them, here's what we would do. Now double it. Now double it, right? Double it. It's a big number, right? It's much more inspiring. It takes your breath away. Oh my God, how am I going to do that? Okay, now double it again. Now let's create that plan. Let's create that plan. That'll inspire. That'll move us forward in a big way, right? That's different. I had a gal that I'm coaching right now, and she was a coach. She's been doing great stuff for years and years. And 2 years ago, when she was in the program that you came to Austin and took, she was in that program. And she did $8 million in sales and residential sales that year. 1 year later, actually this is the third year now. So 1 year later, she did 16. Last year, we had $28 million in sales. This year, she's already hit 24. She's on track for 60.
Wow.
That's 3 years, right? That's 3 years. So she's going to go from making 200 grand a year to making $2 million a year, right? That's in 3 years.
Amazing.
So I want to go back to Marcella's deal, and she says she's taking this to heart. So Marcella, listen, marketing, it's a big deal. Marketing is a huge thing. Does anybody know who you are? Marketing, big deal. Your actions, obviously important, but the mindset is the start. Marketing is second. The actions that you take, the time blocks that you make, that stuff is gonna run the business. But it starts here, and then it moves into action. Action is marketing. Action is going to be your time planning, your time management. Listen, if you do those things, it's a pretty simple business. Overall, it's awesome. You need to pee every day. Is that what you said? You need to pee every day.
Energetic. That's his line. Be positive, energetic, and awesome.
That's Mr. Awesome himself, man. That's the guy. Listen, I think that's really it. And Marcel, I'm really glad you were asking questions. I'm really glad you're here. If you're the only person that's listening, hopefully we've touched your career. If you're in real estate already, girl, go for it. I mean, just pile yourself into the goal. Think bigger. Really set your sights out there on something much larger. Watch what it does to inspire. Who do you have to be? Who do you have to be? Now, you're already that person, but who do you have to be in action to be that person, right? To get that goal. And the other thing, Tony, it's really interesting, and the people that I know that are the most successful, typically they never achieve their goals, and I'll tell you why. Because by the time they're getting close to their goals, they're already resetting their goal.
Yeah. Well,
right? They don't allow themselves.
You're absolutely right. But here's the one thing to remember to everyone that's watching, everyone. When you're running that race, when you're going after your goals, remember to celebrate the small victories. Remember, because if you don't celebrate the small victories, chances are you won't celebrate the medium ones. And if you don't celebrate the small, the mediums, when the big one comes around, it's no big deal. Oh, okay, so what? Because here's what happened. When you get to your goal, if you're doing this right, by the way, if you're doing this right, when you get to your goal, you've already moved that, you've kicked that goalpost down the road. And you've moved that goalpost. And as you get closer, you've moved that target again. And that's awesome. That's exactly what you should be doing in order to grow and keep moving forward. And you have to stop for a second and acknowledge yourself for having gotten to the goal you set originally. Most people will set a goal. And if they work really hard or they're really committed, they achieve that goal. But as they achieve that goal, they put the finish line down the road, which is awesome. They reset a goal. Awesome. That's what you should do. But they don't give themselves credit for having gotten to where they've got. And celebrating, and Joseph McClendon says this all the time, right? You've got to celebrate. You've got to celebrate the small victories. Otherwise, you will not recognize the big ones when they come. And if you don't recognize the big ones, you don't reward yourself along the way. You get tired of being in the fight. You get tired of being in the fight. You get tired of being in the race because you never seem to cross the finish line. Of course, you already crossed 5 finish lines, but you haven't acknowledged yourself for it, right? And that's how you do it. You got to celebrate your victories along the way. So,
you know what it does too? You know what it does too, Tony, when you do that? the thing that people miss is that, like, you look at a football game, and we're not looking at any football games right now, but if you look at a football game and the guy crosses the goal and he tosses the ball down and they do their little celebration, all that stuff. But the key is, can we use that energy and harness that momentum to pour it into the next, not that can we celebrate and go, hey, I'm done, I got it. It's like, no, the game's not over, dude. It's 60 minutes. You're only in minute 14, right? It's like we have 46 minutes more to go. So we've got to celebrate. We've got to also use that energy to pour it into momentum, because momentum is where you start carrying yourself. I've watched momentum in team sports. I've watched momentum in personal sports. I mean, Serena Williams makes a great shot. She's behind, right? She lost the first set. She makes a great shot. Fist pumps. Boom, I'm in. And she starts to take off, right? Crowd gets into it. Pretty soon she's fighting for the next shot and the next shot. And guess what? She comes back, win 2 sets. And that's why she's a champion. But we've got to capitalize on that momentum we create in our daily efforts as well. And for Marcella, if she's in real estate, I'm telling you, that's another big one, Marcella. Use every victory to catapult you into the next and the next and the next.
That's it. Just fuel. It's fuel. Use your success as fuel. And the celebration is like hitting the nitrous button, rewarding yourself. Taking that with your kids, getting that new car if you get to that point, buying that new laptop, getting, that pair of shoes that you want, going to that.
Moving to Puerto Rico.
Moving
to Puerto Rico.
Absolutely. I love it. Listen, I don't know how far away I am from that, but still a couple of years, I'm sure. But I'm brushed up on my Spanish.
Hey, we were talking. I want to say this. We were talking about EXP, and I know we've got people, watching. I have no idea how many of them are in real estate, but I will say this. I will say that when we moved here, celebrate the wins. Exactly, Eric. When we moved here, we have 18 people from our company in this country. Why is that happening? Because we're helping agents make so darn much money and create businesses that they can actually have some freedom from that they actually have found that there's tax advantages to being here. So if you really want to create wealth and you're in real estate, Marcella, that's for you. But for anybody else, if you want to create wealth in real estate, talk to us. Talk to Tony. Connect with us. We want to help you get your success path, your wealth plan, because I can tell you most realtors make millions and don't keep it. And we're going to figure out how to help a lot of people become very, very successful.
Yeah, well, winds up happening with a lot of agents as well. They do well. They've got so much in their pipeline, they start celebrating, and then they forget about their pipeline. Things start closing, and then they don't have anything in their pipeline. Now they're dry for a while. And unfortunately, like most people, they tend to live at or above their means. Most people don't live above their means. They live above their means, forgetting that in real estate, it's a 1099 and you've got to pay taxes come April 15th, or in this case,
July 15th.
Or September 15th, because God knows extension is my friend. But that's just because it was just a lot of LLCs. It was just too much. It was too much to do. I wish not that I don't wish to have a simple tax return. Actually, I shouldn't say that. If it's too simple, then it's not.
No, you don't. I don't want the short form. I want the long form.
Exactly. But the reality of it is, most people, don't plan that accordingly. What's great about EXP, first of all, and I'll just do a shameless EXP plug here. Not only are they kind of designed for this type of environment because it's all digital and you don't have to meet with anyone any more than you have to show property, but you can actually make more than 100% commission, right? Because you can get to a point. First of all, you hit 16,000 cap to the company, you get to 100% right away. So it's really fast. In any market, you can cap and start making 100%, true 100%, not 100% minus royalties. 16,000 is all you pay. Then obviously there's the what is it, $250 per transaction fee for the next 20 transactions, and even that goes away after a while. But you can get to 100%. Once, if you do another 20 transactions after that, they actually give you your cap back. Right, so they give you back your cap and company stock. So that 16,000 goes right back to you. So who couldn't use an extra $16,000 for their marketing or for that vacation, for that car that you wanted to buy, that trip you wanted to take?
You bet, buddy. You bet.
That tuition you've got to pay. But it goes beyond that. Then you have the opportunity of helping to grow the company by attracting agents, great quality agents into that. And we're not going to get into the breakdown of that. But aside from that, you can buy a company stock, which is a privately traded company, the only real estate company you can actually own a piece of, right? Because it's publicly traded on the NASDAQ, probably at, I don't even know, it's at $12 or $16 right now. I'm not even sure.
About 17, I think today.
17,
crazy.
amazing, amazing.
Nuts.
You can buy stock. 5% of your commission can go towards buying stock at, is it 10% or 20% below the 30-day rolling average?
10%.
At 10% below rolling average. You can generate income and revenue when other agents actually produce. And here's the other cool thing. Last November, they opened up a package where you can actually get insurance through EXP. How awesome is that? I don't think anybody out there is offering that. And guess what? And my family policy is only $800 and some odd dollars, which in some states that might sound like a lot, but when you were paying $2,000, it's actually great. So there's so many pluses and bonuses, not to mention the online support. You can do anything online. If you're in our team, you've got access to me, you've got access to Don, you've got access to so many amazing people, weekly training sessions. It's just absolutely amazing. So if anybody's interested, for those of you who aren't at EXP yet, you're probably coming, but we'd rather have you sooner than later. And there's so many people that I'm like, oh, I don't know, that guy is probably not going to go. Guess what? They're at EXP. They just didn't come through me because I didn't ask. But we're growing so much. We just hit 31,000 agents, right? Probably.
Yeah, actually, we're almost at 30. We're almost at 32 today. But Tony, what's funny? Allison was with the company 5 years ago. 641 was her number. Agent 641. 641. 5 years ago, 641. 5 years later, 32,000 agents. It's crazy. It's crazy, right?
All grown organically. You don't see any advertising from it, with the exception of maybe a print ad on Success Magazine or Realtor Magazine or something.
Yeah. We're not buying companies either. We're not doing it through growth that way. Mike Green. Yeah, I know Mike Green. He's on our team, man.
Of course, he joined. When we were at the Habitude Warrior Conference, me and Mike had long conversations over that. So yeah, absolutely.
Probably watching. Come on, Mike, chime in here. He'll see it sometime.
Yeah, he'll see it at some point and chime in.
That's perfect.
So, the opportunities are just amazing.
You rock, man. I just love being in business with you. You're such a pro, such a great giver, and I like being with people like that. Expert partners. Expert partners is how we take our training and start moving it into people that are great like you in each aspect of training. And that's what a lot of our partners are about. But we love being in business with you and having you as one of our partners. So
I appreciate being here. It's a really great bunch of people. So Eric is too funny. He said he just saw a plane fly behind you with an EXP banner.
By the way, behind me, you can see the ocean.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Your view is pretty spectacular, man. I got to say, I'm a little jealous. I guess I'm gonna have to come down and visit.
Please, we'd love to have you down here. And anybody who wants to join EXP, we'll get you down here too.
There you go.
So we're giving them away. We're giving cars away. We're giving trips away. No, we're not really, but we'll have some fun down here.
Yeah, if anybody's interested, we'll drop a link in here and just reach out to me, and then I can put you together with Don, and we can have that conversation. It's definitely a conversation worth having. One of the things that I've been saying to people whenever we have this conversation, I say that everyone with the real estate license owes it to themselves and their families to actually listen to the opportunity. Again, I've been in real estate. This is my 30th year. 30. I still can't believe it when I say it out loud. It's my 30th year in real estate. Now, granted, I'm not doing real estate in the same type of real estate that I was doing when I first started. But yeah, it's awesome. It's been awesome. So
it is, man.
He's asking, I think, you guys are in Dorado, right?
No, we're not. We're actually in Palmas Del Mar.
Palmas Del Mar. There you go, Eric. They're in Palmas Del Mar. Marcella says, "Oh, there's Richard. Thank you so much. Inspired by both. Thank you. I have to run." Bye, Marcella. Thanks for being on. Thanks for participating. You rock, Marcella. So awesome.
I love that. Well, Tony,
what are the pieces of
what's that?
What other pieces of wisdom do you have to drop on us?
I think we kind of covered it, even talking to Marcella, is that, I think it's first about how big we think. And to do that, Tony, honestly, we have to peel the layers away so we can see the person that we were intended to be. Because when God created all of us, all of us. He created us to have abundance and to be well off and wealthy and have it easy. I know that may not be our upbringing, that may not be what our parents taught us, but the reality is that's what God intended. He said, I'm giving you this incredible life, and what we've got to do is peel away all those beliefs that have piled up through other people and get those out of the way so we can grow and be the people we were intended to be. We've got to think bigger. How do we do that? What holds us back from thinking big is all those layers of stuff, Tony. It's just right. It's all that. So we are big thinkers. We are big doers. We are contributors. We are givers. We are those people. That's what we came here for. And when Tony talks about not significance but contribution, I mean, that's what we are all here for. We just don't always see it because we get into holding down the fort and trying to survive. So elevate your thinking. Stand guard. Don't let stuff in that's holding you back, that's supporting the beliefs that you've always had. Really look at what it is that you're here to do, who you really are, and what you're here to do. You've heard me close out seminars and programs I've done, and I close it out with our deepest fear. You remember that little phrase from Marianne Williamson, right? Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fears were powerful beyond measure. It's our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. That says we're afraid to be big. We're afraid of ourselves and our power. We are bigger than we know. We are bigger than we know. And I think that's for each and every person that's here. By the way, if you pull that, you can find that on Google. You can find that. It's Marianne Williamson. And it came from our book called A Return to Love. But if you pull that and you make that something that sits by your computer, sits in a place where you see it every single day, I'm going to tell you, Tony, that will transform your world, because it really says you are bigger than you know. You're playing small, and there's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. Marianne Williams said we were born to make manifest the glory of God that's within us. And it's not just in some of us, it's in every one of us. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give others permission to do the same. Yeah. As we are liberated from our fears, our presence automatically liberates others. And that's what she said. That's her words, not mine. Yeah. But I'm telling you, dude, that is what your show is about. That's what you're about. That's what I'm about. That's what Swanson's about. And I know that your show is bringing that to other people. So we're happy to be involved with the human beings that are happy to be around us.
Absolutely, brother. Listen, it's like I said, and you just said it's about finding your way to love. When that's what I was saying in the beginning of the show. It's about finding your way back home. Finding your way back home, and your way back home is back into your heart, back into who you really are and who we're here to be, and how we're here to grow and help others grow and support each other. One of the things that to the point you said before, growing up is learning, and then as you mature and you grow older, your job is to unlearn what you learned so you can learn it, so you can learn again. Because many times we're taught by people that didn't know what they were teaching us. They didn't know. Absolutely. That we learned a lot of bad things, and there's a lot of bad programming in us from people that just didn't know what the hell they were doing. So we got to let that go. Forgive that. Forgive who you were. Forgive yourself for not knowing what you didn't know when you didn't know it. Right. One of my other favorites, says, do the best you can with what you do. The best you can with what you know, and when you know better, you do better.
Do better. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Let me frame that one more time, and I'm sure you want to let everybody go home and do what they're doing. But, I keep thinking one thing that Roan always said was that it wasn't just about positive thinking. Tony stresses this, right? It's not just positive thinking. It's not allowing ourselves to think negative, but it's not just positive thinking, right? We got to take action. We have to do stuff. But one thing that, think about it, for the thinking that we've had, for the thinking from our past, if you think about a big trash can, right? Big trash can sitting in your kitchen, and you start putting stinky, smelly garbage from the kitchen in there, and then you just put on some deodorant over the top of it, right? It doesn't help. It doesn't help, because you've got all that stuff still coming up, right? And what we've got to do is get to the core of it, clean that up, peel those layers back. And then when you start getting around people like you, and we start getting around people that are supportive, and being around Tony Robbins, being inspired, getting around the big, massive names that are changing the world right now. And I'm telling you, that's when you allow yourself to get big with them. So, that would be one thing we want to really stress to people.
Absolutely love it. And don't be afraid to shine your light. I say this, if when you're shining your light, it bothers people and it hurts their eyes, tell them to put on sunglasses, turn around, or get the hell out of there. Because don't dim your light, because playing small doesn't serve you, doesn't serve your family, doesn't serve your community, doesn't serve the world, doesn't serve God, the higher power, whatever you believe in. Step into your greatness and find that inner hero in you and take charge of your life and just move forward. Anyway, brother, I so appreciate you being here. We're at the top of the hour, so I'm going to close.
Love you, man.
Don't go anywhere. So thank you, everyone, for watching. Thank you, Eric, Marcella, Todd. Thank you, Dana. Thank you, everyone else who chimed in here. Thank you, Anna, and for everyone who watched live. Thank you for everyone who's watching the replay. And if this video resonates with you, by all means, do share it. Tag somebody. If you know somebody that needs to hear it, tag them. And with that said, my friends, again, Don, thank you. I honor you, my friend. I appreciate you being on here. Love everything that you're doing in the world as well. And remember, my friends, that life is not about how many times you fall. It's about getting up after every fall. If you fall down 7 times, you get up 8. And that's in life, in business, in relationships, whatever it is. And it's in falling down that we learn. It's in getting up that we grow. And every single time you fall, every single time we fall, we have the opportunity to get up and grow we must. So that's it, my friends. Keep shining your light. Appreciate you all. And I hope everybody's finding their way home. Appreciate you. Ciao for now.
See you guys.